So if you guys have been looking for a strategy to make $1,000 a day investing or trading the stock market, you've come to the right video. In this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly the strategy that I've been using that has helped me get to a point where I've been able to generate $1,000 a day trading. So this strategy is very, very simple. It's really easy to understand. It's just a matter of implementing it correctly. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what you guys should be looking for, what you guys should be implementing in the actual strategy, and where you guys should be making entries, where you guys should be making exits. And that's really what it comes down to, is making the right exits and the right entries, right? And obviously there's more to it, such as fundamentals, considering those, managing your risk, and a lot more. And I can make a video about that in a later video, but in this video, I'm just going to focus on the basics, the core of the strategy. And if you guys want to see that full strategy with detailed explanations, you guys can drop a part 2 in the comments below and like this video, and I'll make another video for you guys with a lot more detail. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. The first thing that you guys really want to pay attention to is whatever you're trading, you guys want to make sure that it's headed in the direction that you want it to head into, right? So if you're longing, you obviously want the stock to be going up. If you're shorting, you want the stock to be going down. So for this example, we're going to use SPY, which is the S&P 500, and we're looking for the direction to be going up, right? And so at the point where the direction is going up, we're looking for dip buy opportunities, right? And that doesn't apply just to day trades, but also in the grand scheme of things, right? So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. The first thing that we want to look for is the direction, and the direction is clearly headed up and in our favor, right? So that is clearly there. The second thing that we want to do is we want to look for dip buy opportunities, meaning we want to buy the stock at a discount, right? And so what I mean by a discount is we want the RSI to be at 30 or very, very close to 30. So examples such as this right here, where we saw this dip, right? That is one example. Let me go ahead and get back to the drawing tool. The second example would be, well, this is obviously not functioning with me right now. Day 4-hour chart. So back to the drawing tool. So right here, we saw that dip, right? The second example would be right over here, where we saw another dip right below the 30 mark. We saw a dip right over here. Very similar. We didn't come down completely to 30 or below, but we were right next to 30 right over here. Another dip buy opportunity. And another example would be right over here, where we saw another dip buy opportunity in the 30 zone. We came very, very close right over in this general zone. And this was the consolidation period that we saw right over here. Again, popped right back up. And right now we are very close, but we have not really gotten to that 30 mark. So as of right now, this wouldn't be the best time to jump into SPY, but something that you'd want to pay attention to, because it's getting to the point where it's becoming at this 30 zone where it does become a great opportunity to jump into. So something to consider for the grand scheme of things. If you guys were wondering how the market's doing, we do still have a little bit more to go to the downside or consolidation just before we get a good entry. But that's not the point of this video. The point is the entries, right? So those are great opportunities. You want the RSI to sit at 30 or below, or very, very close to 30. And as you can see, every time we come down to that, we see a nice pop to the upside. Came down to that, saw a nice pop to the upside. Came down to that, saw a nice pop to the upside. So that is another element that you guys want to be paying attention to. Let's go ahead and clear that and show you guys the third part of this that you guys want to be paying attention to. And then once we see all of these elements, we want to combine it all together and make sure that all of them are aligning. And that is what gives us that confirmation that, yes, this is a great buy, and that we do want to jump into this ticker and we want to take advantage of the upside. So going back to what we just talked about, just to recap things real quick, we want to see the direction to be in your favor, which we do. We want to find opportunities where it is oversold, right? So it becomes oversold right over here. Let's start with this consolidation phase. How do we know when to jump into the stock, right? So we're consolidating. The one thing we want to pay attention to is the MACD. When we saw that convergence to the downside, we became oversold. When do we jump in, right? Well, you're going to want to use the MACD at the point where you start getting this indication right here with this arrow to the upside, which was quite right around here. And that is exactly when we started seeing it pop off. And once we go up to where we were in the price action, you're actually looking at it right over here, and that's exactly when it started to pop off, right? So we want to get that indication from the MACD that we are converging to the upside, and once we see that, and we see that the RSI is oversold, we see that pop to the upside. The last thing that we want to pay attention to is we want to pay attention to this blue line, which is the exponential moving average. So once the MACD indicates that we're heading up, we are extremely oversold on the RSI, and we see a break above the EMA, so above this blue line, that is when you want to jump in. And so once you jump in, boom, you see that run up in price action, and there is your profit margin that you're going to be taking advantage of and building up to that $1,000 a day mark, right? And this works with any stock that you're going to be trading. We're going to go over Meta, for example, right after this. But let's go over a couple more examples on SPY. Again, we were at a support, we were oversold, and the MACD was converged fully to the downside. We finally saw this indication on the MACD. We started pushing up to the upside, consolidated next to this EMA, and that is when we jumped in, right? Boom, we saw the spike up to the upside. And at what point do you want to start taking profit? And that is when we do become overbought, right? So oversold is entries, overbought is exits, right? We became overbought, that would be your exit, right? Boom, you wait for another opportunity, such as the consolidation one. If you're more advanced, you can start playing these quick dips right over here, but that does take some time. If you want those A+ setups, this is exactly what you want to be doing. And there's really no way of losing money when you're doing this correctly, right? Again, extremely, extremely oversold. MACD starting to converge to the upside. We get that indication on the MACD. Boom, we see a spike to the upside. We break above this exponential moving average, become overbought, and this is where you want to lock in profits, right over here, when you're seeing this overbought zone getting hit. Another example right over here, became extremely, extremely oversold. Finally saw that indication on the MACD. Once we saw that indication, that would be your entry right around here in this general zone. And boom, what'd you see with price action? A massive, massive spike, right? So this is just a quick rundown. If you guys haven't been able to figure out when you should be getting in and when you should be getting out, use these 3 indicators to help you make great entries and great exits, right? Don't take a risk on these subpar drops that you see, these dips, right? It's possible to make money there, obviously, but they're not A+ setups. And you are taking on an element of risk when you're unable to be that confident. This is where you're finding the most confidence in the reversal to the upside, is when it's extremely, extremely oversold. So let's go ahead and clear this up from the SPY ticker and jump into Meta, which is another example we'll go over. That way you guys can see that this works with any stock that you're going to be using, right? Any stock that you really want to trade. The one exception I would say is don't trade speculative stocks on this, because speculative stocks move more so on fundamentals and they move more so on news rather than technical analysis, right? So if something runs up from $1 to $50 and then it drops down to like $3 and starts trickling down to the downside, but the MACD is very oversold, that will definitely not really work with something like that, just because it was a hype situation, right? It's not a natural flow of the way the stock is working, right? So just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and go over the last example for this video, which is Meta. Again, we're going to look at some examples. In this example on Meta, you don't exactly see it come down completely under 30, but it does come very close and it works exactly the same way. So we were extremely, extremely oversold right over here. Let's get the drawing tool. Extremely, extremely oversold. What did we see? We saw a drop in price, right? And then once we finally saw that indication from the MACD that we are converging to the upside, that would be your entry right over here as we are breaking this exponential moving average. And what happened to the stock price? Boom, it rallied to the upside, right? Let's go over another example where we saw another dip buy opportunity, right? Saw the price action come down right over here, came down, to this near 30 zone, and we were consolidating, and this was right over here. Now, when do we get in? We saw that indication on the MACD that we are breaking to the upside. We are converging to the upside. And what happened? Boom, price action jumped off, became overbought, and that is where you would get out, right? Another example was right over here where we started consolidating next to this 30 zone once again. This was consolidation, right? How do we know when to get in? We finally see an indication on the MACD that price action is converging to the upside. And what happened to price action? Boom, we saw a spike, and it actually continued to spike, right? So just some of examples for you guys, and we can go over a ton of stocks. If you guys want me to, comment that down below, and I'll show you how this works with every single stock that you guys name in the comments. But just for a general idea of a strategy for you guys to implement, this is exactly what I've been doing for years now, looking for great opportunities when the stock is extremely oversold. And that gives me an indication that this is an 8++ setup. And there's really no way, unless fundamentals dictate otherwise, that this is not going to go the way that we think it's going to go, right? And this works with QQQ, which is the NASDAQ, the SPY, which we just went over, Meta, and any other stock that you really name. So give this a try on some of the stocks that you guys look at. Comment down below how this works out for you guys. I'm really interested. Like I said, this has been working for me. I just wanted to share it for you guys to try and implement and see how it works out for you guys. But again, look for those really prime setups. Take advantage of those moves up to the upside. Make sure that you're following all of these confluences, right? Make sure that the MACD is turning around. The RSI is extremely oversold. The price is obviously dipped and found support. And when you're getting in, you're obviously getting in when the EMA is broken to the upside, right? You're getting that confirmation to the upside. Now, there's a lot more things to consider, like sizing in, fundamentals, managing your risk. A lot of those things are also components of a great trade. But as far as the basics and the core of a strategy, this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully you guys found value in this. If you guys did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on Monday.